It's the OG Fact Checker, here to give you a juicy tidbit of history that's verified. Of all the great stories about America's role in World War II, the one I'll tell for this episode amazes me every time I read about it. This story involves the most disenfranchised population in America, the American Indian, or rather the indigenous peoples of this land. I'm sure a lot of populations in this country want to claim disenfranchisement as though their suffering is worse than most. But as a nation, we cannot forget we live on land that Europeans and Americans scammed and stole from native tribes. Tribal populations were reduced by outright murder, displacement, starvation, and disease. Even worse, because native tribes are matrilineal in structure, Europeans and Americans refused to acknowledge this structure. Moreover, tribes were advised to shift to a patrilineal structure in order to negotiate with the government and be recognized. Children from these tribes were forced into boarding schools, whose main goal was to strip these people of their identity, culture, and language to assimilate them. And when these tribes did try to assimilate, what they received in return was racism, poverty, and exclusion. According to the 2020 census, American Indians and Alaska Natives, or AIAN, as a group, hold the highest poverty rate among all minorities in the US. For this episode, I'm doing something different. I won't focus on one individual. I'll focus on about 450 individuals. These U.S. Marine Corps soldiers set aside how they were treated by the government and took advantage of an opportunity that would place them in history by helping America win the war against the Japanese in the Pacific Islands. I'm talking about the Navajo code talkers of World War II. The main source I used for this episode was Navajo Code Talkers by Nathan Asang. To tell this story properly, I'll be featuring Navajo words for this episode. Out of respect for this complicated tonal language, I won't attempt to pronounce any Navajo words. I'll just awkwardly point to them in the captions like an Irish setter. These warriors were responsible for creating an unbreakable code using the uniqueness of their language and proved their warrior spirit by working and surviving in conditions they weren't used to. This is why the title of this episode is They Didn't Break Code, They Made Code.